Well, today is just a very special day for me. I'm very excited to have a friend and a colleague and another community member, Sarah Susco, with me. Sarah I met about a year ago, and she lives in the same town as I do and has gotten involved with some of the different things that I'm interested in and trying to support. She was previously a director of human resources. She got involved with the community when she left that job, tending to her kids. Sarah is a twin, married a twin, and has twin children, which I think, I don't know, Sarah, how many people in the world do you think can claim that?
Oh dear, I don't know. I haven't met another person yet. So,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
well,
I'm sure they're out there.
And if your sister had married your husband's twin, that would have been pretty amazing, right?
That would have been exciting.
Yeah,
a fun situation.
And then you'd have twin cousins, right?
Yeah.
Is that what they're called? I don't know.
I guess, and they may biologically be the same since we're both identical twins. They could technically be siblings, I wonder. I don't know.
Oh boy,
I haven't thought about it.
That gets interesting. So then Sarah has been serving meals and preparing meals at the New London Community Meal Center with me. And congratulations, Sarah. I understand you were just nominated as Volunteer of the Month for March. So congratulations.
Yes.
Mark McCullough is a great guy, but he doesn't give that honor to anybody, and he doesn't give it out lightly. He really takes in a lot of thought and consideration, so you must have been so worthy to receive that.
Oh, thank you. I felt so honored and humbled to receive it. Mark is amazing. Everyone there is amazing, and it's so rewarding to have the privilege to get to help everyone and work there. I love it so much.
Well, I was so happy that you came and started to do that, because it's a nice way just to hang out with somebody that you want to get to know better and just chop vegetables or butter the bread and, hey, what's going on, that kind of thing. So back to you, Sarah. You're treasurer of your PTA, treasurer of your homeowners association. But really what I was really so compelled to learn more about and to understand more about is that you adopted you first became acquainted with your adopted twins at the age of 3 months.
Yes.
And they're Audrey and Joey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Joey is not a typical peer, right?
Yeah, no. My Joe Bear.
Joe Bear is what you love to call him, and he's so adorable. Yes.
He is. He is a rare and special boy. Just the other day, it was World Rare Disease Day.
Nice.
And I did post something on Facebook about it. He has a rare genetic variant called TRAF7.
Mm-hmm.
When he was diagnosed, only 7 people in the world had this diagnosis, as it was just discovered a few months prior to his diagnosis. Since then, a lot more people have been diagnosed. There's maybe about 50 or 60 in the world that I have seen. But with that comes a lot of struggles for Joey. He has a lot of delays. He didn't start talking till he was 4 years old. He didn't start walking till he was 3 years old or so. And he's had to work a lot harder for things that other kids picked up naturally. And it's opened up a world of compassionate people that we've met through this journey with Joey and his special needs. And furthermore, you had mentioned briefly that our kids are adopted. And going through the process with DCF and meeting other individuals who fostered children, I have met some of the kindest people I've ever encountered in my life.
Well, you know, I've told you previously that I used to supervise foster care placements, and I used to do social services before I got my master's in speech pathology. I was in between a bachelor's and a master's, so it was just a good segue for me to understand systems and operations and the people. And foster parents are a rare and unusual altruistic breed of kind, generous people. So kudos to you. You're one of those heroes out there.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
I know you won't. I won't know. I know you won't say, "Yeah, that's me." Like, you're humble and but
I just had a foster parent say something to me that left like such an impact on me that I'll never forget. Foster parents give so much, the individuals that I've met, and one of them said to me, yeah, it's hard work, of course it is, and we give a lot, but I'm an adult and I'm not the one who's doing the most suffering. The child is the one who's doing the most suffering, and it's our job to help these children through these stages in their life.
Absolutely.
And I was like, wow, that's right. It is about the child's suffering, not ours, because we're adults and we can process it and we can handle it. It's our job to help these kids in these situations. So that just has always stuck with me.
Very much so. And I also feel like when you have somebody like that in your life who has different needs, then you grow more as a person. It makes you a stronger, better, brighter, more generous, more capable person. You have better capacity for all kinds of things, not just children, but relationships. And
yeah, I sometimes call Joey my teacher.
Oh, absolutely.
I have a good friend who taught me that perspective. I was like going through a hard time because having a child with special needs has its challenges as a parent. And one of my friends, I talk a lot about, it's all about my perspective. Like when I'm having a hard time, I want to change my perspective and I want to see something differently. And one of my friends like had such an impact on my perspective with my son and how he's my teacher.
What did she say? Yeah, the teacher.
Like when you're struggling with him, what's the lesson he's trying to teach you?
Exactly.
What is it that you need to learn?
I love that.
And I feel that we never stop learning. We're always learning. We could learn everything subject in college. We could know so many things academically, but our foundations, our souls, our spirits, like there's always something to learn about how we behave, how we treat others, how we process information in our perspective. And Joey has been one of my biggest teachers that has had the most impact on me, like in my life. And he's just brought so much to our family and to me. And,
well, thank you for sharing that story, and thank you for being so open and honest about it, because it is so compelling and so revealing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, we just have an abundance of love. Like he can be the happiest, most caring, kindest kid, and the way he tries in life is unlike any other person. And not only has he taught me, but he's taught my friends, my family, about how these different abled children interact with the world differently. They experience it differently. Joey some days wants to wear my high heels to school, and I'll let him. And the school knows to keep a different pair of shoes there for him to change into. And he now knows that routine. So he can wear a fun pair of shoes to school, but he's got to change into his regular shoes at school, his school shoes. And, he just interacts with everything differently than anyone else. And he's just brought me so much joy in that perspective of life.
Wow.
So
but I know you're very organized. I mean, you can't be director of HR with having, schedules and lists and operation management kinds of mindset for different things.
Yep.
So let's talk about Joey. So you said he sees things differently. So, and I know it impacts all the senses, but let's go through the senses. Like, how does he see things differently? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
And when I say he sees things differently, I mean he hears things differently, he feels things differently, he sees them, he smells them, he tastes them. Everything is different. He interacts with things differently than we would. So growing up, we couldn't bring him to the beach or have him play in the snow like every kid wants to. It's odd that Joey wouldn't want to, and his twin would be out there having a ball. He would be scared of it. The sensory part of it really scared him and alerted him to something in his brain that he wasn't safe and it didn't feel good. He has since moved past that. We have wonderful days at the beach, and because that you appreciate those things almost so much more.
Absolutely.
Like when I see him playing in the snow and making a snow angel, when I see him running down the beach with his cars, like it just makes you so proud and happy that he was able to overcome that. I see so many everyday things that were so hard for Joey that he is now able to accomplish. That I did a post one day about Facebook about him getting a haircut.
Right.
He couldn't stand his head cut. I mean, his head touched.
Oh.
So he didn't like his hair cut. He didn't like how the scissors sounded. He didn't like the sound of buzzers. And just about 6 months ago, he's 9 years old. 6 months ago, we were able to give him his first haircut.
Nice.
It was a huge deal in our house. Huge deal. And then I brought him to the hairdresser like a month ago. Like it was no big deal.
Wow.
And it's just
that first hurdle.
Yeah. And getting over these things, I think individuals that don't experience a child like this on a daily basis don't know how this feels. They don't understand these little challenges can mean so much. These little things that we take for granted are just actually so important to families like mine.
Of course they are.
And
but I'm just imagining how much courage you are providing to anybody who's listening to you talk right now, that there is hope, that there is, given your resilience and given the support that you've gotten from other people and from the caring people who provide intervention strategies, because there's people who study that in their life career, so they can help you, because you're not alone, right?
Yeah. Joey's team at school is phenomenal.
Well, kudos and shout out to Lily B. Haynes then.
Yeah,
right?
Lily B. Haynes in East Lyme. His speech therapist is above and beyond. His ABA teacher, his current teacher, they meet him where he is and challenge him.
Perfect.
They are his team this year is so perfect for him.
Nice.
He's having a great year. I'm seeing how he's growing this year. I'm seeing his capacity for understanding things grow.
Nice.
He's just, the support he receives there is outstanding.
Oh, that's just so nice to hear.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
I'm in the right town for the right school for my Joe Bear. Yeah.
No. So he's 9, and developmentally, would you say he's about what, like maybe 6, 7, or?
I would say some days he's probably more like a 4-year-old.
Okay.
On a good day, perhaps a 6-year-old.
Okay.
He really started to recognize his sight words last year in 2nd grade, and he's building on that this year.
Good.
So he can now string together smaller sentences. His behaviors, he's still not, we're working on it, but he's still not fully aware of others around him, which can get him in trouble because he's in 3rd grade now. So his peers now understand how to respect personal space.
Yep.
Joey's a hugger. He loves to hug friends. He loves to hug people. That's actually one of the things his team is working on him. It sounds odd to hug less, but some kids don't want hugs.
No, I understand
it's uninvited,
completely.
you know,
right.
like as an adult, we're like, oh, I'll take a hug from a kid. It's such a sweet thing, but it's not an appropriate thing for him to do in school. So,
or to strangers. I mean, there's stranger danger, and you don't want him to be safe. So it's always about be safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What about tactile things? Do you find that, like clothing, you have to be careful for what he wears? Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So he has to wear soft pants. So he has to wear sweatpants.
Okay.
No khakis or jeans for this guy. He can't have tags. I have to take the tags out of all of his gloves.
Sure.
Well, I shouldn't say gloves, mittens. He refuses to wear gloves. He doesn't like something in between his fingers.
Sure. Well, and then the tags on the back of your shirt, and sometimes they're on the inside of your. Yep.
Yeah, sometimes socks. He doesn't like socks. He likes socks in a very specific way.
Well, sometimes I saw people wear their socks inside out because of the seam being. You know,
see, that's a good idea. See, just having these conversations, you learn things.
Exactly.
Yeah, I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah.
But that's one thing the school helps us with. The school's so amazing. Like his shoes, his socks. Like if he's having a day where he just won't put on his socks at home, he knows when he gets to school, it's his routine. And I send extra socks to school. They put them on in his shoes. Like they'll help out with those little things.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all about the little things. And then what about feeding and eating? Does he have certain things that he enjoys, or like certain tastes, or?
Yeah, so feeding and eating's been a struggle too. That's another thing that we so take for granted, and it's so important. And that's actually been something that has weighed heavily on me, especially early on in his life. We had to get him a feeding tube right around when he turned 1. He and his twin were placed with us when they were 3 months old, and feeding him was a struggle. Very early on, Audrey, his twin, learned to hold her own bottle, and I would prop it up because I would spend hours feeding him. So what she could drink in 10 minutes would take him 3 to 4 hours. So I spent a majority of my days and nights feeding him. Didn't sleep for years. But so we ended up getting him a feeding tube when he was 1, and that came with, a pump so he could feed at night. Like it would continuously feed him at night, and then we would give him, they were called gravity feeds during the day. We'd have a little tube that would connect to his belly, and we would feed him through his belly. He still has the tube at 9 years old. He goes through phases where he eats more than others. And at first, he would only eat probably a handful of foods, a lot of yogurt, avocado, which isn't bad.
Nice.
Softer foods, applesauce. It was very much texture and temperature driven. At this point, it is getting more into what he prefers for taste, so I can't give him avocado anymore. I can't give him all these healthy things I used to be able to give him. And so we supplement a lot with tube feeds at night if he's sleeping. We have little drinks, they're called boosts, that he can drink.
Sure.
But so with Joey, though, it's not necessarily the variety of foods. I think he eats a typical variety for a child his age. It's the quantity. He doesn't recognize hunger like other kids, and he can get hangry. And so if we do get him to eat something when he's hungry, as soon as that need goes away, he stops eating. So it won't be a full meal's worth. It'll be like a snack. So that's the problem that we're constantly struggling with him, is getting the calories in, and he's super active. He doesn't stop.
Doesn't stop.
So he's always burning those calories.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and tell me a little bit about his hearing sensitivity. You mentioned something to me previously that if you heard something that was like a helicopter or an airplane or maybe a bus or something like that.
So he gets nervous around noises where he doesn't know where they originate. So especially when he was younger and an airplane would fly over, he would cover his ears and run in the house, or he would scream to like make his own noise to cover the noise. So going to playgrounds, playing outside, things of that nature were a little difficult for us sometimes because he would try to hide and find cover if he heard a noise that he didn't recognize. That has gotten better. He does get alerted to noises and gets nervous. He will try to run to me or hide in a corner if he hears a noise outside, like a big truck goes by that doesn't sound familiar, or there's a storm. Airplanes, he'll try to find them, like he'll look up in the sky until he finds that airplane or the noise that's coming from the sky. But he's always building up a tolerance for these things.
And his problem solving, and his, so it's intellectual stimulation simultaneously. So he's understanding the sound, the noise or whatever, and then identification of it, and then location of it, and then processing of it, like it's okay, and he can breathe through it, and and things that would take a child maybe months to recognize and be comfortable with take Joey years. Wow.
So when we're talking about his comfort level with things and eating and hearing things and feeling things on his feet and tags, like his building up resistance for Joey takes years.
Sure.
And but it's something we are happy to work with him on.
Of course you are.
And his team at school helps us. He wouldn't brush his teeth for years. The school helped us with that. His OT.
Nice.
Like his occupational therapist is amazing as well. She's been with him since preschool.
Nice.
So she knows him so well and knows, how she can challenge him, when she can challenge him, when she can,
well, I used to always say children grow when they feel secure. So if you're given that sense of security, and if they have that trusting relationship at multiple locations, then the skills will generalize and that this child is going to grow. So,
absolutely. Yeah, and he has a team he's known for years. And
nice.
That makes a difference.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about TRAF, and it's spelled TRAF-7, right?
Yes.
And it's an acronym, and I'm not sure what the acronym stands for, but if we look up TRAF, we'll be able to find a little bit of information. Apparently, apparently there's not too much. But I wanted to ask you, unless there's more about Joey that you'd like to talk about.
I'm good.
Okay. About DCF and your work with DCF, and you're a parent trainer, Yes.
So I co-facilitate a course. I just started again. So I did it from probably 2015 until 2020. I had to stop teaching the course during COVID. I had to focus more on my job and my kids.
Sure.
And But what the course is I actually co-facilitate it with the social worker that licensed my husband and I.
Nice.
And
to become trainers or to become foster
to
parents?
become foster parents, to
Okay.
become foster adoptive parents.
Okay.
So she was the first person we met on our journey.
Nice.
And,
you know, I just have to say your husband must be a real great guy too.
yeah, oh, he is. He's lovely. We have both grown so much. Like what we thought our world was going to look like looks completely different. And both of us had to do a lot of growing, and it's made us closer, stronger, both of us better people. And
Wow.
opened our eyes to so many things.
Wow.
Yeah. He's
Wow.
amazing too.
Wow, that's amazing. Though. Okay, so keep going.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
No,
I just,
that's okay.
you know, because it really is a joint project where the two of you, if you would decide to even foster, but then on
Yeah.
top of that to adopt and to think of the long-term plan for this. So please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. And we teach prospective foster and adoptive parents kind of the world they're going to be entering. We teach them everything about it. We teach them about trauma. We teach them about regulations. We teach them about the world of DCF, the world their children will be coming from. So I'm starting those classes again at the end of the month. It's going to be over Zoom. And with that, that's also a very eye-opening class for a lot of people. And I talk about my experiences in that class. That's why I co-facilitate it
Sure.
as a foster adoptive parent. I talk about my experiences. My husband and I also fostered and did respite after we adopted our kids. We would take on medically complex kids in a respite capacity, which means we would do it for a week, a few weeks at a time, a weekend. It would be children in between foster homes or children waiting for their placement. They would stay with us.
Sure.
And through my son's journey we would have to give him breathing treatments. He had a feeding tube. He had a few other surgeries that he had to do. So we became a medically complex home because we learned so much through my son. And I call it, and we used to teach about this in our class, and this would be my example for turning his losses of his health and those type of things into a gain. Like we were able to take kids of a medically complex nature into our home and we were able to help them. So it was a gain for us that we were able to help him and help these other kids. And so I talk about that in the class, our experiences and how giving back and being able to help others is, you know, help these children is so important to them and their development and the way that they're going to see the world and what they experience.
Absolutely.
And so my examples, I've even talked about this with people, like can actually help them when they're in a similar situation.
Absolutely.
When they have a kid. And I actually, my son loves water and he loves wheels. He's very focused on water. He will take a bath 5 days. 5 times a day if I would let him. He will watch Wheels all day if I would let him. And I have a friend who says, just add water. And it's so true. Like, even with a kid with special needs or a kid's having a hard time, water is so healing. It just helps so much. Putting a kid in the bath, putting them in a sprinkler, making a puddle in the driveway. Has
a little
helped
mist spray.
so much. And it's just like such a little thing that helps every situation. I don't know. So anyway, teaching that class, getting parents certified, and passing on my experiences and knowledge that I've gained and gained from others through the experience is a helpful element in the class.
Well, I'm sure you give them a lot of courage. I'm sure that you bolster them up to think like, you know, it's a little scary, a little bit daunting, intimidating perhaps, but I can probably try to do this, right? At least for a little bit, right?
And I help support them after the class too. Like I don't go away. I give them my information. I've done respite for individuals for families who have gone through our class. I've done respite for the kids that they've fostered. So when I teach a class, I don't go away at the end. Like if anybody wants to keep in touch with me and wants information in any way I can help them, I always stay on as a resource.
Well, you're so kind and generous. Yeah, we really appreciate that. So is there a shortage of foster parents? I'm sure there's a shortage of really good, phenomenal foster parents, but...
I'm sure there is. I don't know the numbers. I know we are always looking for foster parents.
Okay.
If anybody is thinking about doing it, even just taking the class and trying out respite is such a great way to introduce yourself to foster care. So if you think you want to do something but you don't know if you can commit, months at a time or years at a time. Respite care helps as well. Every type of care is helpful.
Well, who doesn't need a break periodically? You know, some people have an extended family, grandparents or like siblings who will take the kids for the weekend or something like that. But just to have somebody who you can trust and that your children would be in good hands and that you know you can go and just kind of take that off the front burner for a little bit of time just to breathe again for you, because you have to fill up your own bucket periodically, right?
Sure, of course, yeah. I go on my fair share of girls' weekends. But also in terms of respite, you're leaving the kids that you've grown to love with someone that you know understands them.
Exactly.
And understands where they're coming from.
Exactly.
So that in and of itself is invaluable. Nobody really understands what foster care is like until they've lived it.
Exactly.
And they've done it. Friends can listen to you, but they don't understand
what it's like.
Haven't been in it. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a different world.
I remember when my first child was born, and the pediatric nurse said to me, "How you feel about going back to work is going to depend upon the child care that you have for your son." And I was just like, "Wow, that's right. That
is so true." Yeah.
And so the same thing for respite too, so that you have that kind of level of understanding. So. So they could just contact DCF. And I think parenting classes are so important too, because, you know, how do you learn how to be a parent?
Yeah, just in general. I know that's the thing. We do not give parenting classes to parents because everybody thinks they're just going to pick it up and they know it. And everybody, when I first took this class 9 or 10 years ago, people were like, "You're going to take a parenting class?" And I said, "I guess so." And
why not?
Information is invaluable because you never know what life is going to throw at you. Even if you don't foster or adopt, you never know. And having the tools to deal with a struggle that your child is going through, it's invaluable.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things we teach in these classes. And if people do want to become foster parents, they can go to, the first step is going to an open house through DCF.
Okay,
they
open
have
house
them virtually
DCF.
and in person
Okay,
now.
okay, good
so,
to know.
That's the first step.
Okay, and I asked you the other day a favorite quote, and you said, "Don't get furious, get curious." Tell me about that. What does that mean to you?
So I learned it from one of my favorite people, who's my husband's twin, my brother-in-law.
Oh, wow.
Yes, he's one of my favorite people. We both have an intense love of cat paraphernalia.
Okay. And you're part of the Black Cat Society, if I remember correctly.
I should be. I'm not. I love cats, yes. So I guess honorary with my love of black cats and having them. But my brother-in-law, he's like one of the smartest people I know. He's so successful and he's so wise and he's so emotionally intelligent.
Yep.
And I love speaking with him. But I learned throughout from one of his coworkers that, you know, he uses this term, get curious, not furious. And I said, everybody should know that. That is like my favorite quote. And it's so true because so many times we jump when we're disappointed or we don't understand why somebody does something, we get angry.
We don't understand the backstory. We don't understand their perspective.
Get it. Yeah, and when we could be asking questions and saying, "Hey, why did you do that? Where did you learn that?"
Yeah.
And I think about that even with my son all the time.
Of
when
course.
He's emptying things of flour on the ground. Like, I'm not going to get furious. I'm going to get curious. I'm going to say, "Hey, Joey, why are you doing that, man?"
Yeah, why did he do that? Did you find out?
That's an interesting thing to do. He wants to be a chef, oddly enough, and so he thinks that he can cook, and so he loves to play with flour.
Of course.
And
tactile. He likes the silky.
He likes the feel.
All right.
And he didn't feel like getting a bowl, so he
There you
just
go.
dumped it on the ground. But yeah.
Sarah, thank you so much for being my guest today. I feel smarter.
Thank you so much. This is lovely.
You're great. Let's do it again.
Yes, I would love to.
That was a little abrupt.